Let's talk a little bit about new fund launches for Vanguard in 2024. What might be in the hopper? Where might you see them? Again, complete speculation, but like, where do you think they might go next?
It remains to be seen. It's always a little bit of speculation, but I think fixed income is a big area. I think we kind of touched on that before. That's been a big area for the industry. It's an area that I think has been overlooked in a lot of ways. There might be more value to be added there than there has been in sort of the equity strategies. And when we talked to Vanguard earlier this year, they said ETFs are definitely in the plans for sort of their new fixed income products, as we saw with the recent launches that are still pending. Along those lines, they did announce plans to launch an intermediate municipal bond ETF. That's going to be an index tracking one. And then along the same lines, a California tax-exempt municipal bond ETF. So those are in the hopper for next year. So clearly they're thinking along the fixed income lines. We'll see what comes out in terms of actively managed versus index tracking. Both can be great offerings. I think at the end of the day, Vanguard does both of them in a low fee, broadly diversified format. So that's what I'm really watching for in terms of product launches.
Makes sense. So let's talk a little bit about Vanguard's international business. Vanguard hasn't really been nearly as successful outside of the U.S. as it's been here. Is there anything you're going to be looking for on this front in 2024?
Yeah, to put some context around that, they're still managing hundreds of billions of dollars overseas. It's a massive business, and a lot of asset managers would love to have that asset base. But you're right, compared to like their U.S. business, it's tiny in comparison. So the things we're really watching for are more from a business perspective. They've gotten into a few initiatives over the last couple of years and they've backed out. This year they left a German platform that they had created called Vanguard Invest. That was really aimed at sort of the DIY retail investor, led with index funds, so it was largely an index fund type platform, I believe. They launched that in February 2022 and then got out this year. So it was a very short-lived, project. Similarly, they entered China a few years ago and then they exited China, I think late last year, and then they finally got out fully this year. They had a joint venture with the Ant Group that they kind of ended. So it raises some questions about how committed are they to some of these markets, I think, on one end. At the same time, it's like maybe they saw something that wasn't working very well there and decided, hey, we're just going to get out and not throw bad money after good type of thing. So I'm not privy to all the the details that Tim Buckley and company are talking about in the boardroom, but that's something we're definitely going to be watching on, is sort of how do those international projects go and what do they stick with and what do they maybe leave by the wayside. So for sure, that's probably the biggest thing we're watching, is just how do they go about looking at new markets and new strategies. And
right.
Yeah.
And then lastly, Vanguard has made a significant push into advice here in the United States. Tell us about what the firm has sort of done already and where you think things might be headed in 2024.
So the way I would sort of frame it is they've got great funds, right? No surprise. They've had great funds for a really long time. And they got a great platform. They have this tiered investment platform, digital advisor, sort of a $3,000 minimum, 0.15% annual fee, $50,000 minimum goes up to personal advisors. So then you get a little bit more hands-on financial planning advice. The fee goes up to 0.3% per year for that. And then you go to personal advisor select, which is the next tier up. And that's if you have like a $500,000 portfolio. And then you're getting access to more like holistic financial planning, hands-on type, actual human in the loop type stuff to help you out. So they got a great platform and everything. The underlying investments are great. I'll reference Amy Arnott's research in her robo-advisor report that came out earlier this year. The digital advisor platform came out as one of the best-in-class robo-advisors out there. So that's all great. When we talked to Vanguard, they even admitted that really it's been the client experience side of things. It's adding that personal touch to things and developing trust with clients and that sort of thing. And that's a real challenge, I think, especially when you're trying to do financial planning like on a large scale like this. At the same time, like that's a massive opportunity. And if they can figure that out and they've got this great fund base, the sky's the limit for them. It could really be like the next big thing for them, I think, if they can figure it out. And they're going through some growing pains. There's been some complaints out there from some clients and stuff like that it isn't working as well. But they're clearly attentive to that. They clearly realize it's going on. They're making some changes on the fly to kind of adapt to it as they go. So it's going to be very interesting to see where that goes. And I'm excited to see what they come up with because they've got a pretty compelling offering so far if they can figure out those little things around the edges to make it that much better.